All right, all right, all right. Let's stream. How's everyone doing? I guess I gotta wait a few. There's always that delay.
There's the delay, yeah.
How's everyone doing to an empty room that immediately fills up? We are going to be having some fun today listening to Collisions, which, if you don't know, is this website and an album, and there's two versions of it. There's Prepared Collisions, which is on streaming. We're going to be listening to the website version, which I find so much more exciting because what it does is take 3 different streams of audio and reorder their events every time you load the page, and then just gives you like a new version of the album every time you visit. So we'll talk about that in a bit. We'll listen to it in a bit, and I'm interested to hear your thoughts on it and just kind of experience it as a group. But as usual, first, we're starting with some track feedback. We've got Philip Torvik again with a song called Too High. I'm excited to check this out because the last song that we got from Philip was awesome. Yeah. So let's get into it. Just one track for feedback today, and then we'll do some Q&A and some Collisions listening.
Yeah, wait, do you want to hear what he's...
I forget that there's a comments box. Yes.
Oh, wow,
let us know.
Okay.
And by the way, if you want to submit tracks for feedback, that's for the top tier on my Patreon. So patreon.com/Andrew Huang for more details about that.
Yeah.
And we do these streams every month where I do track feedback for those folks.
Yeah, creator tier patrons. Okay. So from Philip Torvik, this is his song Too High that he released 2 years ago. All these submissions are old songs, but it's part of his motivation in joining this community to push him better, to fight for a space to create for himself more consistently. So he's working on that. He'd love feedback on dynamics and song structure.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's time. He's been wanting to release albums as an artist, or it's all of his own productions. And he wanted to release this song as just the producer, where he brings in different artists for top line over his music. Think Kavinsky style. Have you found that one strategy or the other has worked better for you, gotten you more opportunities, or been more valuable for you? Or does it come down to do what you want?
Interesting. Okay, so is the question, can you clarify for me? I don't know if...
Yeah.
Is it self-producing the album and singing it all yourself versus self-producing the album and having all different top liners on every track?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. So the question is wanting to release albums as an artist where it's all his own productions with vocals.
Yeah.
Versus wanting to release as the producer where you bring in other artists for top line.
Yeah. This is a really interesting question. I'm just going to get into it before doing the track feedback because, I think it's a cool thing to talk about. I think you can do whatever you want to do, and that's always like the foremost thing. But there's so many benefits to both, and I haven't done a full album where every single vocal comes from a different person. But I've definitely self-released my own self-produced stuff that I'm singing on, and I've also gotten vocalists on my tracks, and I've done vocals on other people's tracks. I think a lot of things. At first, it comes down to what the track needs. It comes down a little bit to how you like to work, and if you like to do both, maybe you want to switch it up sometimes, or maybe you just know that you're better in one mode than another, and I think those items shape the decision much more than anything strategic. At the end of the day, sure, collaborating with someone might be more chance to grow a different kind of audience, exposure to a different set of people. Working with people often can make the music better because, it's more ideas in the mix and more different personalities, and stuff just sparks in a different way than when you're by yourself in a room. And then at the same time, there's maybe drawbacks to that where, when you're working with people, sometimes things can stall in a way where it's not on you, and you just have to hope that the other collaborator is going to pull through. So... I think there's so many other considerations that are more important, I guess, than is it better release-wise or promotion-wise or strategy-wise to do the artist thing yourself versus producing and having top-line people. So I would say, do what you think is going to be enjoyable for you, what you think is going to make the music the best, and what you're like feeling in a given season. And yeah, don't necessarily think too much about whether it's a thing promo wise. I guess unless it's like that is what you want to do for promo and all the collaborators are aligned with that, and you're really like, this is the album where I try to specifically get into like these niches with these vocalists who I know like, you know, will help me branch out. I guess that's, you know, a thing to think about. I would just still generally keep that lower down in the priorities compared to everything else. So yeah, I hope that helps. Let's listen to this track. I'm interested based on the amazing work that came in last time, and I know you've submitted a bunch of times before too.
Reminiscing on a past life that never was. All the dreams that I had that I would never touch bring me down.
Nice vocal production touch.
Right now.
I like the reversey kind of atmospheric sounds.
Reality is a bitter pill, but I swallow till I come down. 'Cause I feel too high right now. Lost in this illusion, and my confusion is fucking me up. Think I need seclusion while this illusion is fucking me up.
Really catchy.
Living in another world while my conscience slips away.
I like the very gradual build happening.
I could breathe for another day. Reminiscing on the old days got me feeling something. Catching up on the memories like I'm in.
Nick sounds great.
Bring me down. I feel too hurt right now.
Like if I'm really being picky, I could say this verse 2 could use a tiny bit more energy, but it still works great.
Tell me the phone could be clear if I come down. 'Cause I feel too high right now. Lost in this illusion and my confusion.
Oh, nice.
Is fucking me up.
Ooh, I love this. I would say like maybe you could build more to that. It came a little bit out of nowhere, but like, oh, that's nice. Oh, are you commenting as me?
Oh, is it? I didn't
on a
get that.
past life that never was. All the dreams that I had that I would never.
Oh, maybe it was a suggested AI comment or
Oh,
something.
weird. Yeah, I'm on my own account.
Weird.
Lost in this illusion and my confusion.
Yeah, this section is gold.
Think I need seclusion while this illusion is fucking me up.
It's interesting because I thought this melody at first was a pre-chorus because it was dynamically so much lower, and now I'm realizing it was just a soft chorus for the first one. And chorus 2 and 3 are heavy like this, which is a cool move. Great vocals again. More cool reverse stuff. Yeah, another Philip Torvik banger. Great work. I'm gonna go back a little bit and listen to the like end of second chorus, just because I got distracted by like I saw my avatar pop out, and it said "Love this vibe," and it looked like a comment. And I was like, "What is going on?"
That was not
but
me.
now it's vanished. So I think it was like a suggested comment, which is weird if that's the case. That YouTube, while I'm live streaming, knows I'm listening to someone else's track and like.
It could possibly be given. I did see he's live in the chat.
Could be who?
It could be Galen. I don't know.
Oh, maybe Galen logged in the wrong account?
Yeah,
Possibly.
Possibly, yeah.
Reminiscing on a past life that never was. All the dreams that I had that I would never touch bring me down. I'm feeling too high right now.
Okay, yeah. And then we go back to this chorus. Okay. All right, so some thoughts. I mean, really great job. And this is just super optional suggestions that, like, maybe would make it, like, 5% better or maybe would just be different. I felt like when I mentioned before, going into the second chorus, it felt like it came a little bit out of nowhere and could use more build. And I still agree with that. When you do it on the third chorus, it's great because you're dynamically even lower coming out of the bridge or verse 3 or whatever you would call that compared to verse 2. So I like that where it's like it really like tapers down before the final chorus and then it comes out of nowhere. And that works, I think, as a self-contained moment where the dynamics are really low and then it's a surprise, but also just being that it's the third chorus and that is where you'd have, the expectation of that like greatest dynamic kind of change and impact. So yeah, optionally build up more in verse 2 to the second chorus. The bridge or verse 3 felt maybe like it was a bit short to me and we could like hang out in that vibe a bit longer, because we did just come out of the second chorus, which was the first time we heard the chorus in that big mode. And then, it just felt like 8 bars and we're back there. And I would maybe like structurally then swap those bars for what you have in the outro where you have kind of a longer ride out. So maybe shorten the outro where like after the power of the final chorus is the chorus, you're just, hanging out for a little bit to vibe a bit, but not like dragging that out. But you could have more space in the bridge and that might make that third chorus even more impactful. That would be a thing that I might suggest, if you were doing this song over again or whatever. But like, yeah, the production, the mix, the vocals, the writing, everything was so good, really catchy. And yeah, kind of like I said before, that maybe a little more energy in verse 2 or even just like, a layer coming in halfway through that adds that extra bit of interest or something, not even necessarily energy as in like greater dynamics, but just like a little more interest, something new coming in. But yeah, awesome job. I mean, I don't have a ton of feedback. What does chat feel about this track?
They are liking the song, love this vibe, calm, yeah. Cool sounds.
I don't know what bro got his glasses stuck in the chandelier memes, but
I think that's me. My J.
I was like, is this a reference? No, this is a.
No, it's just the
Ryan
accessories.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Tom, you're welcome for answering that question last time.
Yeah.
And Ian, thanks for watching. Yes. Abacus, astounding. I assume that's about the track. I agree. Yeah. I mean, just keep up the good work, Philip. This is like
awesome job.
Yeah, and like different from the one that we heard last time, which was a little more of a, I don't know, like a rock vibe. I'm liking the pop R&B feel here. Okay, cool. So what I wanted to do today, because this just dropped last week, and I'm excited about it, and I need to find it on my screen, or maybe I just forgot about. It's right up there.
Right there. There we go.
So we got this little website. It's collisions.andrewhuang.com, and if you caught my last YouTube video on Friday, I got the opportunity to go to Paris. I was invited to do a residency at the GRM, which is like a foundational institution. It's where it was founded by Pierre Schaeffer. It's where musique concrète was invented by him, basically. The concept that instead of just notes and manuscript paper and pitches or whatever and rhythm, the building blocks for music could be an actual recorded piece of audio. So he was doing stuff with like, you know, he'd record a train onto tape and then splice it up and that kind of thing. But basically he invented the idea of sampling. And so, you know, 50 or 60 years later, here we are. And it's like, it's fun. Musique concrète still exists as sort of a thing in academic and experimental circles, but the idea of just using sound and making music out of sound has like permeated so many ways of making music. And so it was pretty neat to be able to go there. And I went in with like a vague idea of what I wanted to do. And, you know, the idea of like creating sonic gestures that could overlap in different ways and that didn't necessarily have to have a fixed structure. And then, yeah, by the end of my time there, I had like so much cool material that I was starting to shape, and I made it into a more like traditional album, like a thing that just has a certain number of tracks and you play them in order. And then I also took a different subset of the sounds. There's some overlap and a bunch that's different. And I took some sounds and made this website where there are 3 different playlists, basically, where I group the sounds by musical function loosely. And every time you load the page, the orders of these playlists is shuffled at random. And you just get a different experience of this like soundscape that I put together. And it's been cool. Like, I've listened to this so many times. It's really interesting seeing how the different elements interact, and sometimes they reinforce each other or juxtapose with each other. And it, you know, the arc is different. Like sometimes it starts softer, sometimes it starts louder. It goes through different journeys, and sometimes there's like pauses, and sometimes there's just like creepy little textures always hanging out. So anyway, I thought we'd listen through it together. I'll probably talk over it a bunch because it's 18 minutes, but I'm interested to know. Oh wait, it's still paused from the time we were playing it for the intro of the stream. I'm going to refresh. But yeah, I don't know. I think it'll be an interesting thing to experience together rather than just on my own. And I'm interested to hear everyone's thoughts. Let's go. Oh yeah. Launching right into the distorted drum. This drone is the Synthy EMS, famously used by Pink Floyd. Also was like on a bunch of science fiction movies. I just found this gnarly tone that I played with for a couple minutes. And I think in post I did change the tuning because there's one other tonal thing that it could match with, but in this iteration of the album, those 2 parts did not line up. And now we're into some fun textures, delays. Glitch time. And this drone comes from feedback on a delay unit. Just like riding the feedback till it oscillates. And I think it was like overdriving a bit. A lot of this stuff was like I can't remember what the source was. I just mashed a bunch of things up in Ableton and then like time stretched it and played with the warp modes. One of the things that I love about this kind of music is that it's like kind of forces you to be so in the moment. You know, if you're listening to it and paying attention, like you really do not know what's happening next, and you're like kind of riding along with each sound. So these tones are the longest piece. Like we're hearing a few little like clicky sounds from one layer, and we're hearing, you know, a variety of things are going to come in and out. But the long sustained stuff is from one layer, where I know for a fact this is the longest single sound that I have in this collection of audio gestures that make up the album. I think this one's 5 minutes, and it was using this big vintage modular synth that they have at the GRM, just like patching around, and I put it to a tape machine and slowed it down a ton. Yeah, Ian, the distorted bit from the tape machine, I didn't end up putting in either version of the album. It didn't feel like it quite fit, and so I'm like looking for the place where it could go, because it's so much more like rhythmic and groovy almost. It didn't feel like it fit on here, and I don't know. I want to use it for something. I just don't know what. Also, by the way, these sounds are all available for my Patreon. We'll be posting them in the next few days. So if you want to see how this is kind of constructed or mess around with the sounds, I'm sending those out to patrons soon. But you can always go to this website and experience the weird Never the Same Way Twice album version of it. Some of it is probably obvious, but you can hear like my mouth sounds.
What it was?
Were you not sure?
I wasn't sure. I was like, it sounds like it, but I wasn't sure.
I like that you're not sure.
Yeah.
If there's something about it, like, I don't know, I guess I've spoiled it for everybody here. There's something about like that, I don't know, you kind of want it to have that texture, but you don't necessarily want to be like, oh, it's just like he's doing mouth sounds into the microphone. I mean it's that processed, yeah. But yeah. There was a version of this where there was like I had a laugh that got captured into the delay unit, and then it was like recirculating, and I was like, I kind of want to include the laugh in the album because I don't know, music like this is often so serious and academic and whatever, and I was like, oh, it'd be fun to just like put some joy into it. But at the end of the day, every time I listened to it and the laugh came out, I was like, it kind of takes me out of it, so I cut the laugh. These are some of my favorite sounds, the like weird electrical stuff, the swells, which is a combination of stuff. There's like the surge system that they had at the studio where I just got it, you know, just having fun patching and came up with these weird electrical feeling things. And then there's also just a variety of other sounds that I recorded and then like really shaped in post with like OTT automation, volume automation. So it might start as like a wall of sound, but then I just like create a swelling ramp out of it. I will say too, something that I personally like about this piece is that it changes quite frequently, and it's just my taste, but I find there's a lot of like soundscape or generative or noise music that is like pretty monolithic, and yeah, I just love the dynamics and the constant change rather than the like slowly morphing sound thing. But could be just me. There's definitely a lot of people who appreciate the slow movement. That percussion sound is me tapping on the microphone stand, getting pitch shifted and stuff. Yeah.
I love how wide the stereo image is with all the collision stuff, just to get really wrapped around everything.
Yeah, well, I was working with so much of this stuff, like probably 80-90% of the material was going through this vintage delay unit that was stereo, and I was running stereo stuff through it, and I think it was the kind of stereo where it's like basically dual mono. And so in a way, when we have these tracks, it's like 3 layers, but it's 3 layers of stereo tracks, so it's like 6 sources sometimes. And it was actually too wide, and I brought it in a bit because I didn't want it to be fully like, you know, a Beatles album.
It's like not mono compatible.
Yeah. Tape rewinding. The creepier parts. Yeah, this is one of the things that I love about the album, is because there's like a few sounds that are creepy, and depending on what else gets paired with them, you're like, oh, now that's a creepy sound as well. But it could also be more of like a peaceful sound, or, you know, it just depends. Everything's recontextualized. It's so cool.
Wow. Just like...
Yeah. feel like this has been a pretty spacious iteration of the album, because I've definitely had ones where the noisy stuff is spread out more, so it's kind of like covering more of the details. And here we've gotten a lot of moments where it's like sparse parts are all playing at the same time. Stuff that has like rainstorm sort of vibes. A lot of this stuff was just made with like that vintage delay unit feeding back on itself and reprocessing itself. This audio is great for my ADHD. Yeah. Just like new stuff always. Whoa. New cool stuff forever. I actually find this surprisingly great to fall asleep to. Like, it just, like, it always gives my mind something to be occupied on. And even the distorted stuff, I'm like, yeah, let's go. It just, like, envelops me, you know, so I don't have to think any thoughts. Based on what we've heard so far, I feel like we're likely to end on a pretty big climax, because I think there's one chunk that I haven't heard yet that we might be getting into now. So most of that, like, the louder, glitchy, aggressive stuff you're hearing is a single 808 kick drum sample. Just, like, processed and processed. Now we're back to, like, feedback, delay, weirdness. Have I ever done ketamine? You know, one time. And I didn't love it. I don't understand. I know some people who have gone through periods of doing a lot of ketamine, and I don't know how you... I just don't understand. Because the one time I tried it, I was like non-functional. And these are people who are like doing social activities, playing shows. Like, that's not how my body is built. Sequence complete. Well, thanks for spending that 18 minutes with me on a very interesting sonic journey. Love to know your thoughts, and thanks for just like getting all the way through it with me, those of you who did. I feel like I don't know, it's like it takes a certain kind of person.
Yeah, I was literally thinking like we're probably one of the very few small communities that you could gather for people to listen to Glitchy Sound Soup for like 18 minutes straight.
Yeah.
Well, like I'd rather like 100 people for that. There was like we reached 100 something during the 18 minutes.
It's, I mean, it's some of my favorite stuff, but it's like a very particular compartment of my music making, because I also, I love all different kinds of music, but yeah, when I was making this, it was the length was definitely on my mind, and just for my own personal taste, 18 minutes somehow ended up being this very, it just felt right to me. And it wasn't exactly 18, but eventually it kind of settled into a place where it was hovering around 18. And then I got attached to 18. And at one point I was doing an adjustment and it went to 19. I was like, 19, seeing 19 doesn't feel good. And I wanted also, I mean, it was really important to me that the website says 18 minutes on it, because that frames the experience, I think. I think when you go into something that's already so uncertain, if you're just like, how long is this? When does it go for? I think that changes the experience. And so I also, I intend this to be viewed as an album, even though it's, non-traditional in the format. But to me, it is the collection of sounds that all go together. You only hear each one time in any given version. And it just felt right to me. Going past 20 minutes didn't feel right to me, either for like what it presented as, and also just for my own attention. I was sort of like, as I was listening to different versions of this that I tried out, I was like, I feel like this is the sweet spot where it feels substantial, but I don't want it to be done. I'm enjoying it still, all along the way. So anyway, love to know any thoughts, or as usual on the streams, I can answer any questions that you guys have. I've got, how long do I have?
20-ish minutes. Yeah.
No, I gotta get here a little sooner, I think.
Sooner? Okay.
So yeah, we can go for maybe 10 minutes,
10 minutes. Yeah.
before I
Any questions for Andrew?
got to bounce. But I did see, have you messed with Pure Data and Max? Yeah, I've done a lot more with the old version of Reactor, like pre-Reactor blocks. So when it was very node based, it's how I learned modular synthesis basically. Because if you can't afford the hardware, like back in the day, that was the next best thing to mess with, and it really just got familiar with like, oh, that's the routing of a basic synth voice, the oscillator, the filter, the VCA, all that, the envelopes and LFOs. So I was tinkering with that for a while. And then I did start trying to learn Max and Pure Data, but it was too, I don't know what the word is, too much. There were just too many terms for me to learn.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that are specific to just those programs. Like in Max, they don't call an oscillator. It almost felt like too much to like relearn a bunch of stuff that I already knew just to give it a different name in the program. But I did collaborate with Cycling 74, who make Max MSP, and I like made a couple basic things and then told them some of my ideas, and they were like, okay, we'll help you build it out and like redo the things that you built and make them better, basically. And we but to my credit, I did do all the graphical like layout stuff to a point, and then I think you finished some final details.
Yeah.
That
and I did the visualizer. That was really cool.
Yeah.
That's
and then,
vertices.
and after I made the sequencer, I was like, okay, Ryan, all the 18 other sequencers need to
Oh
look like
my
this
God,
one.
yeah. And it's just like so much copy pasting, and
Yeah.
this is vertices, by the way. If you have to
Oh
check
yeah,
it
I was
out.
leading up to that.
Yeah. So this is a Max patch that Andrew and Cycling 74 collaborated on. Yeah, we can pull it up. Yeah.
I think what is it? AndrewHuang.com/vertices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's completely free.
Yeah, you just need Max to run it, and Max has a free version that I think the only limitation is you can't save, but you can pull this patch up, and it just mangles any samples you drop into it with a lot of interesting randomization and different controls, and there's a record button right on it. So yeah, actually my single Liminal from earlier this year started from a Vertices mess around that I built on top of. And I have like an EP in the works that all comes from just the weird sounds that I was able to get out of this patch. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. So check that out. I think it's just like sign up for my mailing list and you get it emailed to you.
Yeah. Oh, I see some questions in the chat.
Oh, cool. Mine's not updating, I don't think.
I don't know. Would you be all right if people used parts of the collision sounds in an indie film or game projects?
Interesting. I haven't really thought much about that. Like I'm generally fine with people doing non-commercial sampling of any of my stuff. So I guess the thing to do is just get in touch. Like go to my website, andrewhuang.com/contact. You can, just send in what you're thinking, and then we can decide what makes sense. But I have had my stuff used in games before, and we just like figure out what makes sense. And I've had my stuff used in all kinds of things where it's just like, oh, I just wanted to do this project, or it's just for my school, or like whatever it might be. And a lot of the times it's just, yeah, do it. But
yeah, shout out to Infinite Loop Music for the $5 donation.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah. He says,
Infinite Loop Music sounds
thanks
like
for sharing your authentic creative self.
Yeah. Infinite Loop is like what we're all about with collisions. Yeah, any other questions come in? I don't know why my chat's like stuck.
I don't know. I mean, you got the dono, so surely it's the dono was fairly recent.
Yeah, but I still see like the ketamine question is
I
in
see.
the last 5 years.
I don't know, maybe
So,
refresh that. But yeah, let's
weird.
see here.
If you had to estimate what a small medium modular synth would cost, what would it be? Ooh, I mean, it so depends on what your goals would be with modular, but I feel like you can't. Well, if you can do some DIY, that saves so much money because you can get like a $500 module for $50 if you want to do the soldering and put it all together. But yeah, I think like a really small case is going to be several $100s to just kind of like get going, and then it's just the endless rabbit hole. But I see people also doing pretty cool stuff where they pair modular with a computer, and you can, Ableton has CV tools. You can generate all the CV you want if you want, you know which parts you want to be hands-on and patching with, and which parts like are totally cool to just leave to the computer. But yeah, it's not cheap.
Ooh, I love this question. Torvik asks, do you think that interactive modular music experiences like this are loosely the future of creative releases?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's interesting. The possibilities are really interesting. I don't know how widely it'll be embraced because there always needs to be some kind of specialized player. Like Phil from my team was working on this website, and considering it's just like we want 3 playlists that shuffle and play at the same time, it's surprisingly complicated. And there's like not complicated at the base level, but complicated once you run into like problems, because like, on this device it thinks that the track stopped because one sound stopped, but it's supposed to keep going, all this kind of stuff like that a lot of debugging has to happen. And so you see projects like Brian Eno's dropped a couple apps. Jean-Michel Jarre dropped a really cool app / never-ending album / visualizer, and like they all require their own infrastructure. Same thing if you go to like some of these experimental sound installations where it's like 32 speaker arrays or whatever. So yeah, I think the unfortunate thing is that it's always going to be more complicated than the normal way to do music, which is like just press play and it's available everywhere. But I feel like more and more people are going to start doing this. And one thing, I don't want to make any promises, but one thing that I would like to do with this little collisions package is like see how it could work to like let other people use some of the code, or maybe there's a way where we can set it up as a platform or make it into an app that you can put your own files into or something like that. Yeah, I don't know. I think that would be cool, but it's just like so much more work if we do that, because then we have to support it, and there's a lot to figure out there. But yeah, I hope more people do more stuff like this. I certainly am going to be encouraging it, and I already have like my next couple releases planned with either this system, or if we can find some other ways to like extend its functionality, we might make some cool additions to how it works too. But yeah, something I'm going to be exploring a lot more of for sure.
How much time do you got left? We got 10 to 40.
Yeah,
Oh, 10 to
let's
40.
do one more question.
One
and
more
then I'll
question.
sign out.
Okay, someone drop one last really good question. What's your experience on Vocaloid? That could be an interesting question.
Oh, I've barely used it. I tried it for a little bit, and then I just I got busy with other stuff and didn't go too deep.
I can speak to Vocaloid. I've done that a fair bit.
Yeah.
Do you think you would make a decent Vocaloid song? One song is your goal for the year? Yeah, I think Vocaloid and other voice synthesis programs make it easier than ever. I think it's really easy to just like put in your MIDI notes and then put the words in. But it's a whole other issue if you want to like get into the tuning of the vocals for like all the micro fluctuations or toning of a human voice. So if you really want to lean into the digital voice aspect, that's easy. If you want to like replicate a human voice with digital synthesis, you're gonna have to spend like a lot of time on that. But yeah,
I think what I have ended up feeling is like I'd rather use the plugins like Humanoid and Evoke and like do my own singing and then heavily process it, rather than like kind of building the vocal from scratch.
Yeah. I think if you're already using that digital voice bank already, just like in my opinion, just like lean heavy into that aspect of it and just like go full digital anyways.
I saw one last question that I can answer quick, which
Go.
who did it come from? Infinite again, actually. So is there any more work coming on with the Flip app for iOS? Well, fun fact, it is out on Android too. So yeah, Flip Sampler is this music app that I came up with and worked on with a couple people, and we did just update it I think 2 months ago with slicing, so you can do sample slicing now, and it's got just tons more possibilities given that. The next thing that we're talking about adding is bringing back the sample pack store that we used to have, except kind of in a totally new version. Basically, I want there to be a free sample pack that you just get that is available every month, and that's how we'll do it. It's you don't have to pay for sample packs, and I'll just add samples on a regular basis. So we're working out how that's gonna work, because also stuff has happened with iOS where like there's way stricter limits on how big an app can be and how like your just the storage size of files and stuff like that. Anyway, Flip Sampler, look it up on Android or iOS stores if you want to check it out. But we are slowly adding to it just because it's a side project for everyone involved. But we think pretty powerful still anyway for mobile music making.
Yeah. Do you want to... You can run. I can like wrap up like the last closing statements if you want.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I just want to say that the stems are available on my Patreon for Collisions if you want to check those out, and the track feedback we do once a month on stream for creator tier patrons.
Exactly.
I think that's pretty much it, eh?
Pretty much it. Yeah. So these happen once a month. You can get reminders of it in Andrew's Discord if you don't know already about the Discord server. And for creator tier patrons, we can get your tracks in for feedback. Yeah, so that's kind of it.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in.
Bye.
See you next time.